We have more on the upcoming roster split in AEW, and another top AEW contract is set to expire. But first we have news on WWE's brand split, as last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown would see part 1 of the WWE draft take place, with each brand being given 8 picks each. Each show's selections would be announced by several guest hosts, with Triple H announcing all of the first round picks, with Michael Hayes, JBL and Shawn Michaels later representing SmackDown. This whilst Rob Van Dam, Teddy Long and Road Dogg presented Raw's picks across the night. Starting with SmackDown, they would choose the following stars in this order. The Bloodline, which includes Paul Heyman's Solo Sikoa and undisputed WWE Universal Champion Roman Reigns, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair, the Street Profits, Edge, Bobby Lashley, the OC, which includes Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Mia Yim and AJ Styles, Damage Control's Bayley, Dakota Kai and Io Sky, as well as NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. When it comes to Raw, they would also make 8 selections, although they would end up with less superstars than the Blue brand due to the latter's use of faction picks, and Raw would select the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, Becky Lynch, Imperium's Ludwig Kaiser, Giovanni Vinci and Intercontinental Champion Gunther, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura and NXT Women's Champion Indy Hartwell. It's worth noting that half of the roster wasn't available for selection last night, with part 1 and 2 each having their own unique draft pool, with part 2 set to go down on Monday Night Raw. When it comes to the selection of the Bloodline, which consisted of Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa for SmackDown, it's worth noting that the Usos aren't available for selection until Raw, meaning it's possible that the already divided faction will land on the same brand or perhaps go their separate ways. Another worthwhile note is that whilst WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther has now been moved to SmackDown, the United States Champion Austin Theory isn't eligible for selection until Monday, with WWE likely to send him to SmackDown to even out the belts. Next up, one notable name absent from both draft pools this year is Bray Wyatt, who is currently away from WWE television due to a reported unspecified illness. Prior to last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, Fightful Select would provide a summary on some of the names that are missing from the draft and had this to say regarding the status of both Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy, and they would write, Bray Wyatt was overcoming an illness as of WrestleMania weekend and wasn't in the creative plans. However, he's told people close to him he's excited to make his way back whenever he's available. Uncle Howdy's status is very much tied to that of Bray Wyatt. Howdy is portrayed by Bo Dallas. Whilst Wyatt was seen driving in Los Angeles during WrestleMania weekend, with him telling the fan that filmed him that his version of Mania would take place during Raw the next night, he was nowhere to be seen on the show, with no word on when he will come back. And next, we noted earlier that AJ Styles was part of last night's draft picks, with the OC landing on SmackDown, but that wasn't the Phenomena One's only involvement on the show. Styles, who hasn't been seen since December after suffering from an ankle injury that kept him out of action, would make his return to television last night alongside Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson and Mia Yim. After making his way to the ring, AJ would take to the mic to address his return, only to be interrupted by the Viking Raiders with Valhalla in tow before a face-off ensued. This would lead to Styles hitting Ivar with a phenomenal forearm to clear the ring, with this seemingly confirming that he is back to full health and is medically cleared. And speaking of returns, Braun Strowman was also in action on the show, this following recent reports that he was pulled from last weekend's live events due to a concussion believed to have been suffered last week on SmackDown. The show would see the Monster team with Ricochet to take on Street Profits and Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wilde of the LWO, with Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford picking up the win. Now let's hop across to Impact Wrestling, where a huge debut would take place at last night's television tapings, as heading into the Chicago shows, Impact was teasing a big surprise that led to speculation on who it could be. This before reports emerged that Trinity Fatu, the former Naomi in WWE, was set to debut for the promotion. In the end, this turned out to be true, as after appearing under her name of Trinity, she would make her intentions perfectly clear, with her having her eye on becoming the next Impact Knockouts champion Champion, a belt that is currently held by 3-time champion Deonna Purrazzo. It was then later revealed that Trinity will soon make her in-ring debut for Impact tonight at the second leg of the television tapings in Chicago, where they're set to take on one half of the Impact Knockouts Tag Champions Kylin King. Her debut promo is set to air this Thursday on Impact, although the date that the match will air is still unknown. Another note regarding the debut is that Trinity's real-life friend and the woman that she walked out of WWE with, Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, was also spotted in and around last night's tapings, although it has been confirmed that she was merely there to show support. Mercedes even posted a photo of Trinity's debut on social media as she watched from the stands. On last night's episode of AEW Rampage, several upcoming matches were announced, one revolving around the increasing tensions between the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite. On the May 10th episode of AEW Dynamite, Kenny Omega and Jon Moxley are set to battle inside a steel cage in Detroit, Michigan, with this being the 4th time the two men have met in singles action. Omega currently holds 2 wins over his rival, and the last time they wrestled was on the now infamous Revolution 2021 event in an exploding barbed wire death match, which ended with a bit of a dud. On top of this, the date was revealed for the upcoming Firm Deletion match at the Hardy compound, where Matt and Jeff Hardy will team with Hook and Isaiah Cassidy to take on the Firm's Big Bill, Ethan Page, Lee Moriarty, and Stokely Hathaway. The cinematic match is set to air next Friday on the pre-taped edition of Rampage, which will start at a special time of 5:30 Eastern. Peacock's highly anticipated series, Twisted Metal, has released its first teaser trailer, giving fans a glimpse of the former AEW TNT champion Samoa Joe in his role as Sweet Tooth. The show, which is based on the popular PlayStation game of the same name, is set to stream on the platform on July 27th. Samoa Joe and Will Arnett have joined forces to bring the character of Sweet Tooth to life, as Joe, who is known for his impressive size, will take on the physical aspect of the role, whilst Arnett will provide the character's voice. Despite his busy schedule, Samoa Joe remains an active wrestler and currently holds the ROH Television Championship, a belt that he's set to defend against Christopher Daniels on the May 4th episode of Ring of Honor Television on Honor Club, after successfully defending it against Mark Briscoe at ROH Supercard of Honor. The announcement for an upcoming new live weekly AEW show, Collision, is expected in the coming weeks, with it reportedly set to debut on Saturday, June 17th from the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. On top of this, the introduction of a new A show will seemingly see a roster split implemented between Collision and Dynamite, something we have more information on from this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter. According to Dave Meltzer, the landing spots for FTR, Chris Jericho, and the Blackpool Combat Club have been revealed, with him taking to the newsletter to write. The Saturday crew will be headed by CM Punk and FTR, and the Wednesday crew by the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. There have been rumors of Chris Jericho on Saturday because Punk in particular will need a strong opponent. That could be why the meeting was arranged with Jericho last Friday. And next, new revelations have emerged regarding the contract negotiations between AEW and the Elite's Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, whose deals all expire towards the end of 2023. The latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter has revealed an update on the status of the group within the company, and also revealed another expiring contract of somebody close to the Elite, and the report notes, regarding contract negotiations with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, Barry Bloom is the point person negotiating those deals. There are a lot of rumors, largely because Conan said he thought Omega had agreed to a new deal because Omega was working Triple Mania, but there's nothing new to report. Omega's deal, with the time added on for his time off for the injury sabbatical, would expire late in the year, while the Bucks deal would be at the end of the year. Adam Page's deal also expires at the end of the year. I wouldn't read anything into that one way or another, past at this point no new deal has been agreed to. It was recently reported by Fightful that Hangman was in talks to renew his deal with AEW, with the company keen to lock him down long term. Those negotiations are said to have started fairly recently, and there doesn't seem to be much for a timetable on how long they could go on for.